Thanks for joining us at xm.com for the special report. We'll be having a look at the OPEC meeting coming up this week. I'm Cristina Marujos. Joining me today is Senior Investment Analyst Marios Hadjikyriacos. Marios, markets are eyeing the OPEC Plus meeting on Thursday as the oil rally persists. And the question is whether the producers will stick to their planned output increases or whether they will accelerate those. What do you think the cartel will decide at this meeting?
Hello, Christina. It's going to be a very interesting meeting because we've seen oil prices go through the roof lately, and several countries, including the United States, are pressuring OPEC to increase its production even further and cool oil prices. Now, the question is, will OPEC succumb to that pressure, or will they stick to their plans and keep bringing back just 400,000 barrels per month? Now, I think OPEC doesn't have a lot of incentive to change its plans to expedite its production increases. Why? Well, their argument is, yes, the market is in a supply deficit right now, but their own forecasts, so OPEC forecasts and the forecasts of the International Energy Agency and the US Energy Information Administration, all of these players expect the oil market to swing back into a supply surplus next year. So that means more supply than there is demand. That implies lower prices, right? So OPEC is saying, yeah, I don't want to pump more right now because there's a risk I'm gonna flood the market next year, and we're gonna end up with much lower oil prices. And really, oil prices trading where they are right now, it's the sweet spot for OPEC. They are high enough for the producing countries to fix the holes in their government budgets, but oil prices are not high enough so that US shale producers, for example, might come back into the market and steal market share from OPEC. So it's the best of all worlds, really, and I don't think OPEC will want to spoil this environment. So what are they likely to do? I think that they are either not going to accelerate their production increases, or if they do, any production increase is going to be mostly symbolic. It's going to be enough to deflect the political pressure, but not really enough to bring down prices. Therefore, I think that the risks surrounding oil prices this week are tilted to the upside. If OPEC does nothing at all, then oil prices could jump, whereas if they add some supply, that production increase is probably going to be minor, therefore any retreat in oil prices might be equally shallow.
However, we do have some lingering risks to oil prices, especially if production from Iran comes back online. What is the outlook for oil prices moving forward?
There, I think the outlook is much more neutral, right? So we've already seen a spectacular rally, but I don't think we should extrapolate any massive gains from here. Why? Well, the first argument is that the American government wants lower oil prices, and there are several levers the White House can pull. So, for example, they could finally strike a deal with Iran and lift the oil sanctions that have crippled Iran's oil exports, and therefore that could bring back tons of supply to the market. Those talks, the negotiations with Iran, are expected to resume later this month. And of course, it's a process that takes time. But I think that if the market senses that there's a real chance that this can get done, then the risk alone would be enough to cool oil prices. Now, another way for the US government to intervene would be releasing the strategic petroleum reserves that they have for situations exactly like this one. And overall, if you look at derivatives markets, those agree that prices are likely to decline over time as well. So WTI futures are in backwardation, which means that longer dated contracts are trading at lower prices, and that's also true for forward markets. So essentially, investors are pricing in lower oil prices going forward. And I think that's the most likely scenario to play out in the longer term, because the higher oil prices go, the more incentives there are for producers like US shale to come back into the market, increase supply, and therefore cool the rally.
Marios, thank you for joining me today, and thank you for watching the special report on the OPEC meeting this week here at xm.com.